Okay, we're in section 18, and again, we're just trying to get familiar with the computer algebra system. In this case, it's CAS. I'm sorry, Sage, and CAS is a computer algebra system. Again, you can click on this little magenta link over here, go to Sage Math, and do it online. Use a CoCalc interactive online version of Sage. The only main difference there is that you're using somebody else's machine, and the other difference is when you hit the return button on the online version, it has to be shift return to get to work. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to go, I have it installed on my machine, and I'm going to just go to that quickly. And, certainly we've done a lot of this before. Reset, n is a variable now. I'm going to say n. And then what do you get over here? Assume that n is actually an integer. All right. And then, maybe I'm a little tired. So let's put this down. Okay, that's done. You could evaluate an at numbers if you want, like 1. I don't know. Let's do 23. Wow, that's a crazy looking number, huh? Let's say you want to approximate that. That's a really small number there, isn't it? All right, really small number. That's 8.6, yada, yada, yada. And that e to the minus 52 means times 10 to the minus 52nd power. Super small number. All right, but anyway, let's take a look at this over here. And my expectation at this point is, well, that is getting smaller, going towards 0. Lo and behold, it is 0. All right, it did the limit for me. Let's do this one over here. And I'll explain to you what it is, a sum problem. It's -1 to the n plus 1 over n cubed for n in 1 to 1. So it starts at 1, stops at 1. All right, would you expect that? Well, let me see what you would expect there for n in 1 to 1. So -1 to 2 would be, you get that. All right, let's try for 1 to 2 then. I can probably just type over that, right? 7/8. Let's try n3. You get the idea what I'm doing, right? Just retyping, I'm moving up. And again, you could do this for as long as you like. All right. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do this one over here. What we just did with partial sums. And I'll read that to you. Let me pull it down over here. It says the sum, that's 3 times -1 to the n plus 1 over factorial n for n in 1 to 8. Now, I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to get rid of this n thing. All right, that number gives me, somebody says, what's wrong with that number? There's nothing wrong with that number. But a lot of times, what a lot of people want to do is approximate it. So they do this n business. Whoops, sorry, I didn't do that n. All right, we'll go through it one step at a time. And that gives me approximation. Now I want to talk about the next one. What do they say? Digits. I want to play with it. Let's put down digits equals 2. Let's see what that gives us. Well, there's 2 digits there. I hope you see that, 1 and 9. Well, let's see if we did 3 digits, what we get. You get 3 digits. Let's say we put 4 down. What would you get? 4 digits. Again, you could play this game all day long too. I don't know, let's put down 20. Let's see what happens. Is that 20 digits? I don't know. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 digits. Try something outrageous. No, I'm not going to count it. I think you get the idea. I think you get the idea. All right. This is important that you have an idea what we're doing over here. Now, someone says it has no application to what I'm doing. It does. What we're doing over here is we're doing sums in these sections. And hopefully you can figure that out. All right. So I'm gonna play around with this one over here. And again, I'm just playing with it. I'm not saying that I'm in the blue area. Let me clear. I want to remind you, clear does not purge any of the memory. It just gives me a nice clean screen. And I want to see if I can remember. Right. So sum, let's see, 1 divided by 11 to n. Remember, we defined n as a variable and assuming it was an integer, and then 2 to the n. And then we're saying n in. I think I did that. Something I hate to say this. I'll go back over here and I didn't remember correctly, right? It's not n in, it's for n in. Let me put that down. And there's nothing wrong with having to look back over code. And now comes the tough part. Let me go back over here. And I'm going to just type things in. I'm going to type in 1. You know what? Let's look back over that again. 1. What do I do? Dot, dot. Yeah, dot, dot. Let's do 1, dot, dot, 1. That would be what? That would just be from 1 to 1, right? So it'd be 11 minus 2. Let's see. We started at 1, right? Oh, you know what? I typed it in wrong. And I just noticed it now because that doesn't make sense to me. It's not 2 squared. It's 2 to the n, right? That should be 1/9. And that is 1/9. That's good. Let's do 2. Let's do 3. I think you get the idea. You could do partial sums for a really long time. All right. Now, I noticed something about this over here. I don't really like the way that number looks. It's hard to me understand that number. I'll just do a decimal. And again, you could keep doing this. You could change the numbers, like 4, 5, 6. Decimals can be helpful, though, in trying to determine what a partial sum would look like. All right. What was the question, though? Determine the convergence or divergence of a sequence. And that required work for us. It wasn't doing partial sums, but sometimes you can get a feel for partial sums just by looking at partial sums. All right. So we went through the work and we found that it was convergent and we did a test for that. Now, by the way, I'm going to do something that might seem outrageous to some people. And I'm going to type in infinity. I am not claiming it's going to do it. All I'm claiming is I'd like to see what happens. And what does it do? It gives me back this, kind of cryptic error message over here. And it says, cannot convert float integer, infinity to integer. And that's just that, remember, n was an integer, and it's having a tough time converting a floating number to an infinity. And that's interesting. All right, that's interesting. Is there a workaround for that? I bet there is. But here's the deal. I'm not saying that you're going to get that workaround by reading, reading about it, but you probably could. I mean, you go to the Sage Math website, and I think Siri's listening to me, and get more information about it. All right, you could even ask Siri about it. But anyway, try to use software. If you get an interest in any particular area of that software, look it up. Go to Sage. When I mean that, the Sage Math website, there's a whole great. You know what? I should do that now for you. Let me go through that with you. So, we always go here, we occasionally go here. Remember, I always say, oh, go CoCalc, go Calc, CoCalc. But then there's help documentation. Then there's questions. You're going to be shocked how many people are participant in this group. All right. And they answer questions, by the way. And that's really nice, right? Now, let's say I mentioned infinite sums. And, you might look at this stuff. I have no idea what this stuff means, right? I'm not saying you do. Let me try to type in a different question. You get an idea what I'm doing, right? I'm just typing a search. And again, I put a lot of stuff over here. You may not know the meaning of it. That really doesn't much matter. I would strongly recommend before you ask a question, you research to see if anyone has answered the question. If you feel someone has not answered the question to your liking, you can actually ask a question. Let me just show you what that is. You can ask a question. And I'm not going to claim you're going to get it answered. A lot of times people are looking at these questions that people put down and say, oh, that must be a homework question, and they're not going to answer it for you. If they think it's general enough, they might be able to help you though, all right? People are very helpful. They're very helpful. And consider that if you want to become engaged in this community, read those postings, search the postings, start posting questions, and also start answering other people's questions. You're going to find out a lot of information, right, by just going through these groups. And also you might form relationships that last you, professional relationships that last your lifetime. Thank you.